أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم.
What's happening, people? Alright, I'm just gonna get straight to it. Alright, listen. I know there are some people that are quite annoyed with me and the fact that I'm challenging deeply held beliefs and assertions and etc. However, what people are not paying attention to is the fact that it is not me challenging your assertions. Not at all. I'm not making any claims whatsoever. If I make any claim whatsoever, please disregard it. Don't pay any mind whatsoever. Disregard it. Any claims of mine, disregard it. All I'm trying to do is highlight the Quran that has been completely and utterly abandoned. It has been. If you go to any congregation of people who are Sunnis and Shias or whatever, go to any congregation, you will not hear the Quran quoted. You won't. It is just strictly this sheikh said, that sheikh said, that sheikh said, and so-and-so heard, so-and-so heard, so-and-so heard, so-and-so heard the Prophet say. That's what it's always about. So all I'm trying to do is highlight the Quran again, that people claim they believe. People claim they believe in this book. So all I'm trying to do is highlight it. Now, there are two particular angles taken with the Quran precisely to distort the message and to create some sort of a hierarchy. Three particular claims that are made to create a hierarchy and distort the message. Number one, verses being isolated. Verses are isolated, divorced from its context, so that, people can attach whatever narrative they want with it. So that's number one angle. Number two, you will have a particular word in a context, and then you will have some people try and translate that word willy-nilly, literally however way they want, even though their translation does not go in line with the context, but they wish to appeal to some sort of authority and say, look, I'm an Arab, or I speak Arabic better than you, therefore you accept whatever I say. So that's so one is isolating verses, the other one is just claiming particular words mean whatever you want them to mean because mystical, magical Arabic. The third angle is this idea that the Quran was preserved by this select elite group of men, and therefore because this Quran was preserved by this select group of men, you also have to accept whatever else that comes with the Quran that comes from them. Those three arguments are so absurd, it's just intolerable. It's intolerable. I can't tolerate it anymore. And I don't know why it hasn't been checked. It's shocking. I don't know why it has not been checked. But enough is enough. Because you're doing too many damages. One, you're creating this idea of ex-Muslims, which they're not. Those that call themselves ex-Muslims have actually never read the Quran. They don't actually know what the contents of the Quran is. What is there to become an ex of? What did you accept in the Quran from the beginning that you now reject? Nonsense. But what's it called? What they are rejecting is your teachings. They're not actually rejecting the Quran. But they're idiots. They're throwing the baby with the bathwater because you've convinced them that you somehow, own this message. own this narrative, that you somehow dictate this, the narrative of the Quran. So you've, you know, although they're idiots, I've got no, you know, they're absolute idiots. However, you are the cause of it. You are the cause of these ex-Sunnis or ex-Shias running around calling themselves ex-Muslims. Anyway, you are also the cause of a lot of Islamophobia. You are. Because there's a lot of things that, you know, that people are within their rights to disagree with or find questionable in these narrations. However, what you've done is you've thrown the Quran under the bus. Now, anytime people want to question your narrations, they think they're somehow refuting the Quran. Like, you hear a lot of people talk about Islam this, Islam that in a negative light, and they don't even quote the Quran. Their whole beef is narrations. Now, sometimes they think, oh yeah, you know what, we can quote the Quran as well, but they do exactly the same as what you guys do. They isolate verses. Are you all illiterate? Or do you think we are illiterate? What is it? Why do you all isolate verses? Whether they are Islamophobes and whether they are sectarians who've abandoned the Quran, you both have the same tactics. You both isolate verses. You isolate verses, or you try to go on about the Prophet, ad hominem about the Prophet. You've got nothing on the Quran. So, okay, for example, you'll say cutting off the hand of the thief. The word off is not there at all. The word off is not there. So whether it's cutting off would have to be determined by the context. And there's no way the context will allow you to come to that conclusion. Same thing with the supposed striking of the wife. Read the context. Why do you keep isolating verses? The very following verse talks about you bringing your people and the woman bringing her people if you want to get back together. You can't have that following, strike her. It's not possible. Unbelievable. People trying to drive you nuts. So, yeah, this isolating verses business, this trying to, you know, make one particular word within a context so mysterious, because Arabic is mysterious. Get out of here. All language is designed for the same purpose, and that's to get a message across. Now, if you could talk about a particular subject, and then you can have a word within that subject that we are discussing that has nothing to do with the subject, you wouldn't be able to communicate. Like, if you can have a context and then you can throw in whatever word in that context, even though it doesn't fit with the rest of the context, we would not be able to communicate. Arabic, get out of here. So stupid. Isolating verses, going on about a particular word means mystical, magical Arabic, therefore you have to listen to me, you're subject to me, whatever I say. And then you have what was the third one? Yeah, the Quran was preserved by a select group of people, and whatever those select group of people claim, whatever else they claim, because you accepted the Quran, you have to also accept. Seriously, how dare you? How dare you? Like, how can a human being be so stupid? Unbelievable. Wow. Anyways. Oh, wow. It's just unbelievable. Wow. Anyways. Like I said, any claim of mine, dismiss. But what I will do is I'll simply read the theme of the Quran, and then I'll give you the context of where these words of where these words are found in, and let you determine the meaning. It's not difficult. You just have to be consistent with the theme of the Quran and the context that this particular word is found in. That is it. It's so easy. It's painful. Oh my God. Okay. The next subject is gonna be Hajj, and I'll give you a little taster of what Hajj is. Now, we're led to believe that Hajj has something to do with pilgrimage. Now, if you look at the word Hajj in the Quran and all its grammatical variances, you will find that majority of the time, the word Hajj is translated as argument. This is how it's translated in the Quran. No claim of mine. You will find that it's translated as argument. Only in 3 or 4 places do you find that it's translated as pilgrimage. Now, the word pilgrimage is not an everyday word. There's a lot of connotations with the word pilgrimage. So to have the word pilgrimage, you have to have an entire narrative that justifies the pilgrimage. So you have to have a particular place that holds a particular importance, and then you have to also explain why that particular place holds a particular importance. You have to do all of that to get pilgrimage. You don't get to just throw it in. You really don't. So, for example, pilgrimage is used with Abraham, and it's also used with Prophet Muhammad. So, starting with the last prophet, Prophet Muhammad. Prophet Muhammad did Hajj and he did Umrah when he came back to where he was persecuted from. So, Masjid al-Haram is where he was persecuted from. So the sanctioned place of submission. Masjid al-Haram is where he was persecuted from. So when he came back to Masjid al-Haram, he was to complete or fulfill or terminate the Hajj and the Umrah. So in order for him to complete, fulfill, terminate, etc., the Hajj, upon his return to Masjid al-Haram, the only way you could have that, you could have pilgrimage in that context, is if the messenger was persecuted for wanting to perform a pilgrimage in a particular place that had some significance. I repeat, the only way you could have pilgrimage there, and Umrah, which you call little pilgrimage or whatever, the only way you could have that there is if the Prophet was persecuted in the first place for trying to perform pilgrimage at a particular place that held some sort of significance, and that significance would have to be detailed and explained in the Quran. That's the only way you can have pilgrimage. If he wasn't persecuted because of a pilgrimage in the first place, and there is no indication or conversation of any kind about a particular venue that holds some sort of religious significance, if you don't have that backdrop, you can't have pilgrimage. And this is not religiously, this is linguistically. Because pilgrimage has an entire narrative. It's a narrative that creates a pilgrimage. No narrative, no pilgrimage. So that's one angle. The other angle is what you can confirm from the Quran. What you can confirm from the Quran is that he was persecuted from Masjid al-Haram simply because he wanted to convey this message. And this message being challenging or threatening towards the status quo of the time. The status quo of the time, the elite of the time, were telling people randomly, this is haram, that is haram, this is haram, using animals and etc. So they had leverage of the community. They were the elite. People just listened to them, whatever they said, and the rest were just, idol worshippers, really, because they were just accepting what these people say. So when the Prophet came with the Quran was threatening the hierarchy that they created. So they persecuted him. All of that can be verified from the Quran. So they persecuted him because he wanted to convey the message. That much can be verified from the Quran. So if they persecuted him because he wanted to convey the message, and the message is an argument against their claims, then when he came back to Masjid al-Haram, he's come back to complete, fulfill, terminate the argument. What he has is an argument. The Quran is an argument. It literally refutes everyone's BS. So when the Prophet came back, he can only have come back to complete the argument, the debate that he started. He started a debate. He started a debate. They persecuted him. He's now back to complete that debate. That's all. And Umrah means to promote or liven up, which is what he's doing. Those are things that can be verified, not only according to the theme of the Quran, according to the context of the Quran, and according to the definitions of these words. The Quran is consistent. You can't do this. You're embarrassed. The only reason people are not reading the Quran is because they don't want to actually test themselves to see whether the Quran is actually from God or not. That's the only reason people are not reading the Quran, and that's the only reason people are getting away with all of these shenanigans. But anyways, I'll go further into it on the next video. But the only thing that can be verified from the Quran is the messenger got persecuted from Masjid al-Haram. He's now gone back eventually to complete the argument and promote the message, which is all a messenger does. There is no pilgrimage anywhere to be found in the Quran. But I'll go further into it next time. But my point is, remember, my argument is theme, context. That's it. It's that simple. So your argument is not me. It's the Quran. Peace.